Hanging out at Holladay Distillery in Western Missouri, watching college prospects with my guy Jake Stack here, sipping on some smoking stagecoaches actually with Hassan's tequila. It's been really fun. We're watching some interior offensive linemen. There's a couple that actually have a chance to go pretty early, Jake. Let's look at a couple of them. We'll start with Kenyon Green out of Texas A&M, largely considered the best interior offensive line prospect in this class.
Yeah, I think the first thing that stands out about him as far as an interior guy is his length and his size. And at that length and size, how he is able to move within a scheme. I think he's scheme versatile as well. I think you could play him in a gap power scheme or an outside zone type scheme. And I think that's going to be the biggest appeal. And then whenever you have a guy going high like that at an interior offensive line position, that's usually the catch is, either you are just so dominant or you're versatile and athletic. And I think he's the latter of the two.
Yeah, he's a guy, there's not a lot to poke holes in. I think he's a pretty quick processor along the interior. He can handle twists and stunts really well. He works really good on those combo blocks, as you can kind of see there. Really good work into the second level in the run game, but at the same time, he's a good sized guy. You see him playing a little bit of left tackle there. He's got requisite length. He's got the good frame and that doesn't really matter as much along the interior. It doesn't matter. Like he's a guy that, he's got a perfect kind of profile to play along the interior. You really like what he's got there. The movement skills, like we kind of talked about, people mover in the run game too. So like there's the physical side of it, there's the movement skills. There's a lot of high quality traits here. I think what you said, scheme versatile. Anybody is going to be excited to have this guy. I genuinely think when it's all said and done, Kenyon Green's probably the first interior offensive lineman taken. I think he is taken in the first round of this draft. There's another guy, decent chance of being drafted in the first round as well. Zion Johnson out of Boston College, kind of one of my guys here. And when you look at what he was able to do at the NFL Combine, he's one of the better testing interior offensive linemen. He was, really, really quality athletic profile he was able to put on display. 6'3", 316, moved extremely well.
And I think, same story, different guy when you talk about Zion, because he is a guy that's got the requisite length to kind of play the tackle position in a pinch if you needed him to. But he played tackle at Boston College and didn't have as much success until he moved into interior offensive line. And then I think he really took off. So I think teams are going to really view him as an interior offensive lineman that maybe he gets a few reps in training camp to see him, hey, can he play out here? But I think ultimately that is where he's going to end up. And you look at the footwork and the power. Guy has had a really nice post-season lead up to the draft. I think he's really improved his stock by being able to test well and being able to go out at the Reese's Senior Bowl and have a good week.
Well, I think he's a guy that if you're looking for a zone guard, I think he's probably the best zone guard in this class. Like, I think Kenyon Green can do anything. I think Zion Johnson is a really, really good fit when it comes to a zone scheme. So I think he moves really well. He moves really well kind of laterally. And I think, as far as a guy that if you're a zone blocking team, there's probably some that prefer Zion Johnson over Kenyon Green. I don't think he necessarily as big of a people mover as Green was, but I think you saw a really good pop in his hands. I think he's got good initial pop with his hands, which can really be valuable when you're working in some of those zone blocking schemes too, because if you can stun and help redirect there at the point of contact, especially on some of those double teams as you're working to overtake, there's some really good things there to work with Zion Johnson. There's another interior offensive lineman we're all pretty high on when we're working on the KCSN draft guide. It's a guy that we actually graded for the 2020 draft guide. He came back. It's Lucid Smith out of Virginia Tech. And it's funny to watch him out of his stance too, because he's got one of the lowest stances in football, but he is a nasty, nasty football player.
Yep, you talk about people movers. That is kind of who he is. He is a typical kind of run his face through a glass door type offensive guard. And with all these interior offensive linemen, it is probably the least exciting position when your team takes any of these guys. But what is exciting is being able to run the football on 3rd and 1. What is exciting is your quarterback not having pressure in his face immediately. And so all three of these guys, and Smith included, they're going to be guys that when they're on your team, you're not going to regret it, right? I think they're all going to be really, really good high-level players at the NFL level, and guys that are just foundational pieces for your team.
He's a strong guy. You kind of seen some of this, like his grip strength is really good. Real good pop in his hands. He started as a tight end, so he's not a bad athlete. He's not a shabby athlete by any stretch of the word. He was recruited to Virginia Tech as a tight end, was able to kind of convert eventually. So good movement skills, but good pop in his hands, a desire to finish. You saw it right there, just taking a guy down right there. There's a desire to drive through defenders getting in his way.
And the power in his lower half.
Yes.
And look at the way he's built. I mean, he has got just tree trunks for legs, and you see a lot of that pop comes from the ground up, and that's kind of how he plays. He plays with good leverage, and he really uses that strength well.
I think he's a versatile guy. I think he could play any 3 interior offensive line positions. Like, he could wind up as a center. I think wherever he goes and whoever gets him and in whatever position he winds up playing, you're getting a good player. And he could be available in day 3 of this draft. It's Lucid Smith, interior offensive lineman out of Virginia Tech.